الله الرحمن الرحيم حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير.
I seek refuge with Allah against the rejected Satan. With the name of Allah, most gracious, most compassionate. Forbidden to you for food are dead meat, blood, the flesh of swine, and that on which hath been invoked the name of other than God, that which hath been killed by strangling, or by a violent blow, or by a headlong fall, or by being gored to death, that which hath been partly eaten by a wild animal, unless ye are able to slaughter it in due form.
اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون.
That which is sacrificed on stone altars. Forbidden also is the division of meat by raffling with arrows. This is impiety. This day have those who reject faith given up all hope of your religion, yet fear them not, but fear me. This day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen for you Al-Islam as your religion. But if any is forced by hunger, with no inclination to transgression, God is indeed oft forgiving, most merciful.
مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله.
They ask thee, what is lawful to them as food? Say, lawful unto you are all things good and pure. And what ye have taught your trained hunting animals to catch in the manner directed to you by God, eat what they catch for you, but pronounce the name of God over it, and fear God, for God is swift in taking account. And Allah speaks the truth. Early in 1984, Muslim American community leader Imam W.D. Mohammed began to encourage Muslims under his leadership to eat only food slaughtered the Muslim way, halal foods. Stressing the importance of eating halal foods, he challenged his followers to establish halal businesses. During a speech in New York City, Mr. Mohammed made an urgent call for a national conference to place halal on the agenda before the entire Muslim community. This challenge was taken up by the Halal Poultry and Meat Producers Association, a group of 7 Muslims from Masjid Honorable Elijah Muhammad in Chicago. On December 13th and 14th, 1985, Imam Muhammad, along with other workshop participants, stood in the little tent erected behind Sister Clara Muhammad School. He said, Bismillah, silently, and slaughtered a chicken, the Muslim way. The following night, he spoke to the conference at Chicago's Ephraim Baha Center. Because of the important message in the topics he covered, we will present Imam Muhammad's complete lecture.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum. Dear Muslims, guests and friends, our greetings of Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto you, as I'm sure all of you know. Let me first say that I congratulate those who have worked for this convention to see that it be a success. We know all results are with Allah. Sometimes we can do a little and get a lot, and sometimes we do a lot and we get little. I feel that this has been a very successful halal convention. I was present on the first Friday yesterday, to witness the halal slaughtering, and I felt very good at first, but then as I stood there with the crowd, it brought back to my mind pictures I saw of lynchings, where a black person was being lynched, and a lot of white people, white crazy bigots, standing around watching the slaughter, watching the action. And I said to myself, everybody witnessing halal should have his own animal and be ready to slaughter his own animal. Everybody should be busy doing halal. rather than being spectators. But that's necessary just to show our community what it is. But we don't want to go through that no more. Whenever we do it again, we want to all be participating. It's the business of halaling, and you're supposed to be doing it, not watching other people doing it. Watch other people do it, not to watch other people do it. But that was necessary, I guess, to get us started, introduce it to us. But I hope I don't have to be a spectator again for something like that unless I'm halaling it and get right out. Do my job and get right out. Now, we expect that these brothers will be halaling food for us in the future in great quantities, And they will be the ones, and they will be doing their job. They won't be spectators, they will be workers. They will be doing their job. And the beautiful thing about the slaughtering of the animal in the Muslim way, we said Bismillah before giving the death stroke, the death blow, or the death stroke with the knife. Say Bismillah, and then upon giving the stroke that sever the jugular vein, or the windpipe in the jugular vein, you say Allahu Akbar. And if we do that, it gives us protection we need from becoming insensitive. Because you can kill. I used to work in a poultry market right in this neighborhood, Iowa poultry market, for a Jew, and right in this neighborhood. And my brother, Elijah Mohammed Jr., he worked there too. And Leroy and Brother Carl and his children, Leroy and Donnell, we all worked there together. And during the holidays, we would kill chickens just like that. You'd be killing chickens just like that. Fast as you do one, you're doing another. And the Jew didn't require that we know his kosher procedure. We knew nothing about nothing kosher. We just slaughtering chickens and turkeys and whatever that was there to slaughter. But after a while, something happens to you. You forget you're handling life, and it just becomes routine. You become insensitive. And what we do keeps us sensitive, keeps us knowing that you couldn't do this without God. So we say Bismillah. And when we take life, we say Allahu Akbar, because some men, they kill a cow, kill a bull, slaughter a bull, halal bull, or a big animal. And I'm sure that when he does that, it makes him feel macho, right? He feels macho. And pretty soon he'll be thinking that he's the Almighty, that he gives life and takes life, you see. And he'll lose his sensitivity, he'll lose his senses for life, for the life that he's taken. And the halal procedure for us keeps the human being sensitive, keep him knowing that God is above all. And he has allowed this to you. You're not taking this, God has allowed this. And the Muslim is not to think that he's taking the life of some chicken, or he has power even over a squab, a little pigeon, or quail, or nothing. We're supposed to believe that God made this possible for us, and we're accountable to God, and we have to keep conscious, remain conscious of God through the process of halal, through the procedures of halal. So that is the beautiful part about it. And I'm sure in the workshops you learn many things about halal. You know, the first thing, the food, as brother told us, the product, the meat has to be halal. The animal has to be halal, that is. And then the slaughtering process has to be halal. It's dabiha in Arabic, in Quranic language, dabiha. The slaughtering has to be halal. And the eating has to be halal. Did you say Bismillah before you ate? If you didn't, it's not halal. But if you did, it's halal. The animal has to be halal, the slaughtering has to be halal, the consumption has to be halal. Say Bismillah. You don't have to say it outwardly. Like I was in a restaurant, and there was about 50 people or 75 people in that restaurant, big restaurant, in the big business area, and we sat down to the table. And he made his prayer. And I looked at him, I never gave him any explanation or nothing. I just ate. There's nothing in our religion that requires that. You say Bismillah, that's all. It says do not eat anything without saying the name of God, pronouncing the name of God. So long as I say Bismillah, and I don't have to say it for him to hear it, I don't have to answer to him if I don't say it. I answer to God. So I say Bismillah in my own heart and I eat. Now why do we want to make a big spectacle, make a big show, a big scene, you know? Suppose all of us did that out in the street. So we bring a lot of burden on ourselves. And God says in our holy book, Quran, he says, and God didn't make all those laws prohibiting the Jews from eating these things. Say they did it themselves. And God allowed it as a punishment on them for that. Since they claim that God told them to do that, God didn't check it. He let them go on in that. They're not eating this, not eating this, and not eating that. 1,000 good foods they weren't eating because they said God said it wasn't permitted. And they were just denying themselves all those good things. And really only a few of them keep those laws. Most of them break them, if not publicly, secretly. We go now to the Word of God. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Allah says in our holy book, that is God says in our holy book, إن الله اشترى من المؤمنين أنفسهم وأموالهم بأن لهم الجنة. Surely God has purchased from the believers their very selves or souls, and also their possessions or their wealth, in exchange that they would receive the paradise. The term paradise, the hope of the religious people or the faithful people, paradise, it brings to mind a place where our pleasures will be fulfilled. Our need for pleasure, our pleasure needs will be fulfilled. There we will have the delights of our heart, the full measure of our requirement for pleasure, bliss, or whatever term we might use, place where there will be no want for things or something to fulfill our need for pleasure. That's our idea, or the universal idea among religious people, of heaven or the paradise. So this tells us that the human being has a need for pleasure fulfillment, to be pleased, to be in a situation where if he desires something for his pleasure needs or for his fulfillment in that sense, he can get it. He does not have to do without it or have to be deprived of it. So that is the hope, that whatever we desire to fulfill our pleasure need, we will be in a situation to have it, to experience it, to enjoy it. God promised us that. God promised us that. What more could we want than that? That's the highest aspiration that man can have, is that all of his pleasure requirements be fulfilled. So there's nothing more to ask than that. And for that, God asks only that we give our very lives, our very souls, our very selves to him. In a covenant or an agreement, a covenant is an agreement, a sacred agreement, an agreement to do all in our power to carry out whatever duties he have charged us with, even if it means losing our very lives. This is what God asks of us. Maybe you say, oh, well, I don't like that talking about giving up life and having to fight and having to be killed or having to kill and be slain. Why you have to bring up that kind of talk? Well, look, you're killed one way or another. Yes, you're killed by ignorance. You're killed by ignorant living habits. You're killed by debt. You're killed by the criminal. You're killed anyway. You don't think you ain't gonna be killed. You're gonna be killed. Killed by AIDS, by heart attacks. You're gonna be killed anyway. So don't think you're gonna escape being killed. We're all gonna be killed by something. Well, some of us die. Yeah, you die, but something was at work. It wasn't nothing but old age. You're killed by old age. So don't think you're not going to be killed. We're all going to be killed. And let's live. Let's live. Let's live for God. That's the answer. Live for God. And I mentioned the pleasure needs in our life because as a people, we are more geared up for pleasure than any other people on this earth. I don't know another people, another race, another people who are more geared up for pleasure than us. Whatever we do, we want to know what's the pleasure in it. Some people just want to know what's the profit in it. We want to know what's the pleasure in it. We don't care if we come out broke or not. What's the pleasure in it? If the pleasure's enough, I don't mind. I'll come out broke. It's okay. So we have to refine our passions and raise up this pleasure principle in our life so that we won't be giving our pleasures in a way that will cause the undermining of our life and our productive work. Because just as we are the people who are geared up more than any other people for pleasure, we are the people who waste more on pleasures than any other people. Yes. People are spending millions and billions and trillions of dollars to improve the life of the lot of man, to improve the institutions of learning, to do constructive things. But our people, as a people, are spending very little in that way. We spend most of our money for immediate pleasures. Huh? Immediate pleasures. Well, I got about 2 or 3 more minutes. Now, look at the attributes now that God brings to our attention after giving us that covenant. That is no new covenant. It's the same that came in the Torah, same that came in the gospel and in the Quran. No new covenant. He gives us that covenant, that requirement. If you want the fullness of reward to yourself, then you have to give the full self to God. That's the bargain. It's a bargain. It's called a bargain in this very verse that I'm reading. It's called a bargain. Bargain. Or an exchange. A bargain. Then God gives us these qualifications. He says, التائبون العابدون الحامدون السائحون الراكعون الساجدون الآمرون بالمعروف والناهون عن المنكر والحافظون لحدود الله وبشر المؤمنين. Those fit to enter that bargain with God, they are those that follow his commands, his instructions, and they serve him with complete service, and they give praise to him, and they cheer support in his cause. Yeah. How many of you will cheer brother or cheer something that's good for al-Islam or good in the path of God. How many of you feel to cheer it? If you don't meet the qualification here, see? That's one you missed. That's one you didn't measure up to. And they bow their knees in submission to God. And they make prostration on the floor before their Lord. That's what we do, all right? Absolutely. And they honor what is established, what has been proven as high standard for man, the good life, al-ma'ruf, the good life that has been proven, tested down through time, generation behind generation, that this is the high standard that preserves the quality life, the good life for man, and makes possible progress for him, healthy progress. Says that they order that, they promote that, and they prohibit that is irreparable, that brings the reverse of that, bring down the standards, bring down the quality of life, deteriorate the good life of the society, such as vulgarity, ignorance, idleness, laziness, criminal acts, etc. And they are those who guard the limits prescribed by God. Whatever he has set up as a limit, they are watchful to guard that. They know God doesn't allow that. Or God, sometimes we have to tell people, God doesn't allow you to deny these people that. See, all the time it's not a need for us to say God doesn't allow the people this. There's also a need for us to tell certain ones who will deny the people their rights. That God doesn't allow this. You're stepping over the limits established by God. You're not respecting the boundaries or the limits established by God. You're setting up your own boundaries, your own limits. And that will happen. And the prophet said, peace and the blessing be on him, if any man leads, or the man who leads a congregation or people in prayer who hates him, the prayer of that imam is not heard. God won't even hear his prayer. See? So why would the prophet tell us that? That tells us that it's possible that an individual man will become so menacing, so threatening, that we would fear him and follow him in prayer while hating him. So the hadith from the prophet says that if such a man leads a people in prayer, his prayer will not be heard, it will not reach God. That's not just to tell that person now that, look, you got the power to make these weak people follow you in prayer, though they dislike you, but don't think your prayer will be heard. Your prayer will not be heard by God. Yes, that's to tell him that, but it's also to tell us. Know that it's possible for a person to gain so much power that you will just accept him. You'll have no impulse to question him. You'll have no courage to question him. And he will lead you, but that prayer will be no good. His prayer will not be heard by God. And if his prayer is not heard by God, then the prayer for the people is no good. Huh? And that's the justice of God. You hate him and you follow him anyway, so his prayer is not heard, it's just nothing. He's just going through nothing, just carrying his captives with him to hell. There's also a saying from the prophet. He said, peace and blessing be on him, تَتْرُونَ أَيُّ أَعْمَالٍ أَحَبُّ إِلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. He said, do you know which deed is more beloved by God Most High. قال قائل الصلاة والزكاة. And one person said, prayer and zakat. وقال قائل الجهاد. And another person replied saying, the jihad. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. The Prophet said, peace and blessing be on him, إن حب الأعمال إلى الله تعالى الحب في الله والبغض في الله. The Prophet said, surely the most beloved deeds before God Most High is to love for Allah's cause and to hate for Allah's cause. So we may carry out the fundamentals of Al-Islam. We may make salat, and pay zakat, and do the essentials of our religion, which represents the structural life of our religious community. But if we don't do it for God, then it is not as good as the act by another person, maybe people outside of our religion, who is working, but they are working with the awareness that they owe God everything. The Muslim should live and work with an awareness that we owe God everything. He says he has made a covenant with us. He made it with the people of the Torah. He made it with the people of the gospel. And he made it with us of the Quran, the Muslims, the believers. And we should understand that covenant. And we should understand that we should be doing everything. We should be living and existing and working with an awareness that we owe our Lord Creator everything. It is simply put this way by many Muslim teachers and imams. They say the Muslim is supposed to seek the pleasure of God. Now we know God is not a creature like ourselves having pleasure needs, because in our holy book he says he is free of all needs. He has no needs from anything or for anything of his creation. But he wants for us the good life, rewarding life, and the fullness of life that he created for us. And for that reason, he has required of us that we do these certain things and that we respond to him in certain ways that are proper and guard against that is improper. Lastly now, the great light of religion or revelation, it shows us that one finds his own life fulfilling for himself when he gives that life in obedience to God, in service to God. God says in the Quran, "O soul, pleasing and pleasing God." That is pleasing for yourself. You find your life, you find satisfaction yourself, and also satisfying your obligation to God. He says, return to your Lord, enter you my paradise, enter you among my servants, enter you among my servants. Pleased and pleasing. Pleased and pleasing. You have been pleased and you have been pleasing your Lord. That's the condition. That's the condition. That will make for the happy life. Now let us speak as men of insight on this very same need in us for pleasure fulfillment. There are stages for this pleasure fulfillment. One is what we mentioned here earlier, the immediate pleasure reward. Just like we ate that dinner, we got the pleasure while we was eating it. That's immediate. We will play a ball with each other. We'll be enjoying it right there. That's immediate. And then we have the deferred reward, delayed, postponed. We expect it, and we can do the thing with a relieved spirit, in good spirit. We can do it in good spirit, but we're not getting anything for it right now. In fact, we're paying, we're putting out, we ain't getting. Like when you work 5 days, 4 days, and on the 5th day you get happy, right? Because that's payday. Or you work 9 days, on the 10th day, or whatever work day you get paid on, that day you are happy. Because you know, well, I've been deferring this pleasure for a long time and giving this job, but now I'm going to get mine, right? You know, really that's not Islamic, because the Prophet said, pay the worker while the sweat is still upon his brow. Peace and the blessings be on him. So the Prophet taught, pay you as soon as you finish the job. Like you finish something today, pay you right there. Give it to you. You know, some people say, well, give these fools that money every day. We have more problems than we got now. Well, maybe if we give these fools their money every day, they will get in such condition that they will get wise. Sometimes you have to get more foolish before you can get wise. And many times the fool, the day of meeting the wisdom is delayed because other people are taking care of his affairs. Let the fool carry more responsibility and the fool will wake up sooner. Yeah, so that's the deferred reward or deferred pleasure. And then we have the greatest of all, and that is devotional pleasure. Just the pleasure out of doing it. The pleasure out of doing it. Now you get pleasure out of doing it. You don't expect no reward. A lot of things we do, we don't expect no pay, we expect no reward. The pleasure is in doing it. We find it to be useful. We find it to be good for people or good for society. Oh, I like to help my mother. I like to help this old person. I like to help this young child. I see he has a good future. He has good qualities. He has good manners. So I'm doing this just for this child. I don't want nothing out of it. I don't expect anything. Right? Yes. So we do things not expecting any reward, but we do it because we are devoted to a certain principle. Now, the greatest principle to be devoted to is this principle, that I owe everything to God. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. Big document. Yeah.
At the Western Regional Halal Awareness Workshop held in Oakland, California on August 15th and 16th, 1986, Muslim believers set up a tent behind the Muslim Culture Center and slaughtered 50 chickens and 1 lamb. City dwellers with no farm experience, as well as those who have lived in rural areas, formed lines, and following the directions of the National Halal Association Chairman, Nathaniel Omar, they learned the halal method, the Muslim way to slaughter. And thus, Imam Muhammad's call for an halal workshop without spectators became a reality. After the slaughter, dhabiha, each participant plucked his own chicken and dressed the bird for his or her family, or donated it to the halal dinner held in San Francisco the following night. The halal method of slaughter is very humane and sacred because it involves the taking of life. Therefore, when the Muslim slaughters an animal, he must be aware that it is Allah who takes the life. So as Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has established, when the Muslim gets ready for the slaughter, he shows great compassion for God's creatures. He calls Allah to mind, and then he must say Allah's name. Bismillah, with the name of God. Allahu Akbar, Allah is greater. Allah is bigger. Allah is more important.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حرمت عليكم الميتة والدم ولحم الخنزير وما أحل لغير الله به والمنخنقة والموقوذة والمتردية والنطيحة وما أكل السبع إلا ما ذكيتم وما ذبح على النصب وأن تستقسموا بالأزلام ذلكم فسق. اليوم يئس الذين كفروا من دينكم فلا تخشوهم واخشون اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا فمن اضطر في مخمصة غير متجانف لإثم فإن الله غفور رحيم. يسألونك ماذا أحل لهم قل أحل لكم الطيبات وما علمتم من الجوارح مكلبين تعلمونهن مما علمكم الله فكلوا مما أمسكنا عليكم واذكروا اسم الله عليه واتقوا الله إن الله سريع الحساب. صدق الله العظيم.